So good morning, everyone. Hope you have wonderful sleep in this morning practice. So we'll just start with the short breathing meditations, watching your breath mindfully for a few moments. And then we can try to generate good intentions. And we can think the purpose of my life is not only just to be concerned with my own well-being, but also to have concern for the well-being of others, and to help and benefit others as much as we can, directly, indirectly, according to our capacity, ability. And may I be able to be more and more help, benefit over the time. And not only temporary help and benefit, but to be able to be, may I be able to be ultimate help and benefit to each and every sentient beings. And to be able to do that, I must achieve my own highest potential, fully awakened state. And to achieve that, I must cultivate and improve my true love, true loving kindness, compassion, both to the mind and wisdom. And engage in the both of practice, such as six perfections. And for that, I need to remind myself of those practice every day, every week, every month, every year, throughout my life. And trying to engage in practice meditations to improve those inner positive qualities. Therefore, I'm going to listen and engage in discussions, reflection, contemplation, and practice. And not only now, today, in the meditation hall here, but also to bring those practice outside of the cushion, outside of this hall, in our everyday life as much as possible. Okay.
So we'll take refuge once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Ascent. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soki chonam la janchu badu dagni kapsuchi. Dagi chonen gepe sonangi drola pensir sange drupar sho sange chodan soki chonam la janchu bardu dagni kapsuchi. Dagi chonen gepe sonam ki drola pensir sange drupa sho.
So, of course, if you are just exploring whether this is the path or not, that is one thing. But if you explore and that you have taken refuge and taking this as the path, I think it would be nice to memorize at least the refuge and bodhicitta, because that is something we recite every day, every morning, evenings. So yeah, whether you do in English, both English and Tibetan. So coming back to the yesterday, we kind of discussed a little bit about what this practice is related, the retreat, the weekend retreat, and we talk about the importance of cultivating and fully developing love, compassion, and the wisdom. And not really important, we have the potential to develop that, to improve that. That we all have that potential. So it's not something impossible, something if we put effort and determinations in trying to actualize and improve those inner quality, we can, since we have all the Buddha nature. So we kind of discuss a little bit that. And when we're trying to practice to cultivate and improve those positive qualities, those inner positive qualities, of course, mainly it depends on us, our practice. It has to come through our practice. At the same time, for the betterness of our practice, we can rely on others' help, whether it is the help of human beings or whether it is the help of that beings, the bodhisattvas, who are not necessarily always in a human form, bodhisattvas or Buddhas. Just as in our everyday situations, when we have some, something that we need to improve, something that we need to, in any field, mostly it depends on the individual, whether they want to improve. If they want to improve, they have to work hard, they have to put effort to improve in any field. But also when you get the support, someone who knows that subject very well, who have experience of that subject well, and if you get their help, support, it will help you to improve better. Not just by yourself, but when you have the support from someone who have that experience, who have gone through that, who have that experience, who is expert in that. So it's combinations of your own hard work, your own practice, at the same time, guided, mentored, or supported by someone, others who have much more knowledge, much more experience, much more expertise in that, and then you can really improve. Same way our spiritual practice, we try to practice. It mostly depends on ourselves, but also the support of the Sangha, the support of the teachers, and the support of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. All helps, all support and help for our improvement, our practice, and our meditation, and so therefore we rely here, we rely on the Buddha of compassion, Avalokiteshvara or Chenrezig, as to get the blessings, inspirations, and being example and inspiration for us to develop unconditional, limitless compassion like Avalokiteshvara himself. To develop like his unconditional, unlimited, impartial compassions, and to become like himself. So that being role model, that being our inspirations to develop that qualities. And with that, then, from our heart, top of our heart, with open heart, with full open heart, we request, we ask for their support, their blessing, their inspirations, and that can help us to grow our love, compassion, bodhisattva mind more strongly, So that is where we and using also reciting the mantras of the Avalokiteshvara, and certain visualizations, and then certain contemplations or certain contemplative meditations. So we try to, as I mentioned yesterday, we try to integrate all those different factors in that practice. Mm. So before maybe what I'm going to do. And I think even in one of the last I think last Wednesday, I think someone asked questions about Avalokiteshvara because when we recite the Heart Sutra and many other sutra, it says Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, but also sometimes we hear the Avalokiteshvara as being a Buddha of compassion. So how is that? What is the differences? And I did answer during that time, but again, since there's more people, so also I'm going to read the sutra from where the source come, where Buddha Shakyamuni says Avalokiteshvara was already Buddha a long time ago, already achieved Buddhahood long time ago, but still he continued to help and benefit sentient beings by showing the aspect of bodhisattvas and by showing the aspect of engaging bodhisattva practice. So, as I mentioned in many sutras, the Buddha says, the Buddha will come in the world by showing all different aspects, sometimes as a bodhisattva, sometimes as a very ordinary human beings, sometimes as animals, So the Buddha can manifest and come in a many different, all kind of form for whatever is most help and benefit in that time, in that place, to that individuals, sentient beings. So when we hear the Avalokiteshvara as a bodhisattva, then that is showing the aspect of the bodhisattvas. So in the Dharani of the thousand arms and thousand eyes. Here is mentioned Buddha Shakyamuni was in a garden of Sarvaska in India. That is where one of the Buddha gave a lot of the teaching, most of the teaching at that places during the rainy seasons. And together with many audience, disciples. And among that disciples, there was the Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. And Avalokiteshvara at that moment, then, through his power, then he showed some kind of miracles and, manifestation of him, and then liberating the sentient beings from the suffering and leading to the happiness. And then, sending the light from his and whole area, whole space filled with all, golden light. Everything looked like golden light around that. And then also the earth kind of moved a little bit. Then among the audience, there was another, one of the king, his name was Sungzin in Tibetan. I don't know what that might be in Sanskrit. And then he asked to the Buddha Shakyamuni, why is this color, all this color, turning into a golden now? What is the cause of that? Why are we seeing that? What is the cause of moving the earth in this moment? And then Buddha Shakyamuni says, among the audience here, among my disciples, there is a Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. So Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara did that, but other people didn't know, the audience didn't know it was by his power. Buddha knew by his power that was happening. But the rest of the audience didn't know. And so Buddha says, among the audience, there is the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, and this because of him. And he has incredible psychic powers, incredible glories, immeasurable qualities, and powers. And then Buddha said, many eons ago, he has already achieved enlightenment. Many eons ago, he has already achieved enlightenment. And even the name of that enlightenment, that Buddha, long time ago, is, again, I don't know the Sanskrit, It is like Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, completely enlightenment, Buddha, the king of, so the name of is that, king of the glorious heaps of rays of light. So something like that. I don't know whether it's exactly, in Tibetan it is Sangye Wese Kunipapa, Belsek Yabo, and from the very beginning, he cultivated great loving kindness, compassion, and through that great loving kindness and compassion, actualized the bodhicitta, engaged in the bodhisattva's practice and achieved enlightenment long time ago. But still, he showed the aspect of bodhisattvas and engaged in bodhisattva activities in order to help, in order to benefit, and to sentient beings, in order to lead them to happiness. And Buddha says here, if you recite the name of the Avalokiteshvara, it will purify negative karma, many negative karmas, create a lot of virtues, merit, and after that, you will be born in a high rebirth. So this is one of the source of. So in this, it is clearly Buddha himself mentioned Avalokiteshvara was already Buddha long time ago, but he continued to show aspect of the Bodhisattva. Okay, so in reality, even though at that time he was showing the aspect of Bodhisattva, but in reality, it's the Buddha, and not only Buddha, Avalokiteshvara is the manifestations of all the energy of all the Buddha's compassion. So all the energy of all the Buddha's compassion manifests into a certain form, and one of that form is Avalokiteshvara in that form, in order to help benefit. Of course, the compassion itself has no physical form. The Dhammakaya, wisdom, it doesn't have physical form, but through the power of that energy and the power of that loving kindness or wisdom, then it manifests into a certain form for the benefit of sentient beings. We like to see, we like to hear, we like to feel. If we cannot see, if we cannot hear it, sometimes we have more difficulty connecting understandings. So sometimes, in order to be help and benefit, then they manifest in different form. And so here, that is Avalokiteshvara's. So since when we do the practice, we are going to do the visualizations. So I think I'm going to explain a little bit of the before what Avalokiteshvara's form symbolize or represents, so maybe if you can share the image of Buddha Shakyamuni, can we share? No, I want to see the colors and everything. Yeah, there will be in a visual aid. So in terms of statue, we have on my right side here. Right side here is Avalokiteshvara forearm. On the left side, we have the Buddha of wisdom, Manjushri. So it is the compassion and wisdom, because that is the very heart of the Buddhist, the Buddha's teaching and practice, the wisdom and the compassion. And yeah, okay. So here you can see Avalokiteshvara has different forms, but here we are going to one of the most common one is forearm Avalokiteshvara or Chenrezig. So in Manikumbum, Manikabum, is a collection of sutras, advice, teachings, especially mostly on Avalokiteshvara's practice by Dharma King, Songtsen Gampo, who is also known as manifestation and reincarnations of the Avalokiteshvara himself. And he was the one who introduced Buddhism in Tibet in 7th centuries. So in his collections of the Avalokiteshvara's many different practices, in that then it explained one face here, symbolize Avalokiteshvara's unbiased, undiscriminating compassion, equal compassion to each and every sentient beings. One compassion, equal compassion to each and every sentient being. That symbolizes that. Four hands represent and symbolize the practice of four immeasurable. In the four immeasurable practice, you can practice as a foundations to develop the bodhicitta, as well as to maintain the bodhicitta. You can practice after sometime in our practice. First there is a refuge bodhicitta, and then four immeasurable comes later. Four immeasurable are infinite or immeasurable love, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable joy, and immeasurable equanimity. Okay. So immeasurable equanimity is like, you wish everyone to, because discriminating mind is the root of suffering and problems. Because our discriminating mind, we are so attached to certain things and we have so much strong aversion and disliking to some other things or beings. And due to that, then we act, so because discriminating is the, so there in this particular equanimity practice, is you wish all sentient beings, including yourself, to be free from being so attached to some and being so much aversion to certain, but to have equanimity to each and every sentient beings. And we try to cultivate that equanimity as much as possible. If you don't have equanimity, then you cannot develop the great love and great compassion that you feel for everyone equally. And so that equanimity becomes very important. And then, immeasurable love is, from your depth of heart, sincerely, truly, when you wish every sentient beings to have the happiness and cause of happiness, and taking responsibility self to do that. Whereas the immeasurable compassion is, again, compassion that you wish each and every sentient being to be free from the suffering and cause of suffering. Since from depth of your heart, and also, taking the responsibility to free them from suffering, cause of suffering. Then immeasurable joy is, from your depth of heart, sincerely, you wish them to be whatever joy, whatever happiness that they are experiencing now, whatever happiness, whatever joy, whatever success, whatever goodness that they are enjoying, and especially the highest level of happiness, the true happiness of, nirvana and fully enlightenment, wishing them not to be separated from those happiness. Wishing them, not to be separated or not to lose the happiness or not to be separated from the happiness, especially the highest level of happiness. So that are the four immeasurable practice. So that four hands symbolize the four immeasurable, and four immeasurable practice is very much strongly connected with the compassion and bodhicitta mind. And then on the right hand, he's holding a rosary. Okay, normally it's crystal, white crystal rosary. Mine is not crystal, not white. And when we recite, when we use it, you count, one mantra like that, So similarly, that symbolize Avalokiteshvara liberating sentient being one by one. Symbolize liberating sentient beings from the suffering, cause of suffering, to enlightenment, one by one, like that. So that is what it symbolizes. And then on the left hand, he holds a lotus, white lotus, generally lotus. And that symbolizes the wisdom. I think the lotus is born, special lotus, I think we already, lotus that grow from the mud, okay? The lotus grow from the mud, but the lotus is not diluted, polluted by the muds. Similarly, when you have the wisdom realizing the emptiness, even though you might be in the midst of all the suffering, problem, chaos, but you will not be polluted by all of that. You will not be, because of your wisdom. You will be not polluted by the faults of the samsara, Even where you might be surrounded by everyone who is, talking bad about others, always talking bad about others, negative, criticizing, but you will not feel the energy, negative energy of that. You will not be influenced by those negative energies. If we don't have those wisdom, then we slowly, we might be influenced by that. We might be polluted by that. That is what happens when you watch news all the time or when you read news all the time. And we all have certain channels, certain news, certain sources you rely on. And at the very beginning, you might not believe them, but hearing again and again, reading, listening again and slowly, you are not even aware. Your mind has been somehow brainwashed. Somehow that your mind has changed. And if someone says you have changed, you will argue and you say, but that is how it happens. And so that is influence. Your surrounding can influence you and pollute you, dilute you. I might share a story, because I also realized myself. I think when I first came to these countries, my mind was less biased. I used to watch all channels, Fox, CNN, all different, NBC, all these different. And I can see their different views, on same issues, different point of views, different discussions. And I can easily listen to both views, both easy. And of course, you make your decisions. But over the time, with friends, and then with all, all this, and with also some other news, this news is fake, this news is not good, this news, then you started to rely on certain news, you feel that is accurate and not fake. And then you started listening to the other, and then you just get one-sided informations. A lot of times in many issues, and so my mind has been a little bit biased now, I don't want the other channel now, and then even in my mind there is a little bit of, maybe they are not accurate, maybe they are not truthful. And in some issue, maybe they are not, but doesn't mean everything. But anyway, that is how your mind get kind of, instead of being open to actually listen everything, see everything, and then make your own kind of decisions. Mind is not even open to actually listen or read when you feel that source is kind of, maybe in the past is sometimes they might have this information, and that could happen in many of things. Anyway, so what I'm saying is how when we don't have that kind of wisdom, how surrounding environment and all that false can affect you and dilute and pollute you. So to some degree, my mind has been diluted and polluted. My mind is not as open as when I first came. Now my mind is already taking little coming side or being little bit biased in some informations. So yeah, that is a very small example of that. So we're talking about the lotus that symbolize the wisdom. When you have that wisdom, then even you are in samsara, even you are in the midst of problem, even you are midst in the false chaos, you are not being affected and polluted and diluted by them. So it symbolizes wisdom. And then in the two hand on the front, where folding hand, he's holding a jewel inside. It is a jewel inside. This one has kind of blue jewel. Sometimes it depends on the artist, but it's basically the jewel that is holding inside. And that jewel symbolizes the compassion. Just as a wish-fulfilling jewel can, relieve the suffering of poverty and fulfill whatever their needs are, just like that, a compassion can fulfill the needs and happiness of oneself and needs and happiness of all sentient beings. If the compassion is like that wish-fulfilling jewel, a compassion wish-fulfilling jewel that can fulfill sentient beings' needs, sentient beings' happiness. So it symbolizes that. And then, when we fold your hand together like that, of course, it's like frustrating, homage, respect, one form of. There's slightly different. Normally, when in a certain culture, when you have greeting, like India, Nepal, they greet namaste like that. So in namaste is like that. It's flat in your hands. But when we do prostration or that, it's like that. You put two fingers inside, and there's hollow inside, like that. And it is said that emptiness, the hollow inside, symbolizes Dharmakaya, the Buddha's state of Dharmakaya. When someone achieves enlightenment, then they achieve both Dharmakaya and Rupakaya. And Dharmakaya, natural Dharmakaya and wisdom Dharmakaya. Natural Dharmakaya is the ultimate nature of that enlightened Buddha's mind, which has been empty of inherent existence all the time. And then, the wisdom Dharmakaya is the mind that is free from all the temporary obscuration delusions. And from that Dharmakaya, then in order to help and benefit that, then it manifests in a form body, Rupakaya. And that's so the inside the hollow, the empty, symbolize the Dharmakaya, and the outside, the two hands folding to it symbolize Rupakaya. And in the Rupakaya, there is Sambhavakaya, Nirmanakaya. So it symbolizes the Buddha's enlightened body. When we say body, we are not talking about a physical form, so that is what it symbolizes. And then, the leg cross, it symbolizes being in meditative equipoise, meditative state all the time. While being in meditative state, deep meditation, meditative equipoise all the time, at the same time, to be able to help and benefit sentient beings. And that is the unique quality of the Buddha, to be in that both state together simultaneously and to function both simultaneously. To be able to help engage in the activities to help benefit sentient beings, at the same time to be in a deep meditative equipoise. And then the colors, the white symbolize, free from all the faults, free from all the faults, free from all the negativities, especially, from the faults of self-grasping or the self-cherishing or selfish attitude. And so that white symbolize due to limited love, compassion, overcoming those faults and free from those faults. And then, you can see a lot of ornaments, and crown. At the crown, there are 5. Or what I don't know what you call, like there are like 5, and that symbolizes the 5 Dhyana Buddha. There are 5 Buddha families, and that symbolizes the 5 Buddha family, 5 Dhyana Buddhas. And it is in that it mentioned, even though you see with so much ornament, earring, necklace, what you call bracelets, and all different ornaments and celestial garment. It says it symbolizes, even though that you have all these kind of desired objects, but not being clinging and grasping to it, not having any clinging and grasping to it. So it symbolizes, even though you are experiencing or you are possessed with all kind of incredible desirable objects, but it's not being polluted by that. There's no clinging, grasping to that. And then, this is another, on the left shoulder and by the breast, then there is the skin of deer skin, and it also symbolizes the compassions, because deer symbolize compassions. I don't know whether all kind of deer or particular deer where they don't eat any insect, animals like that. So it is so it is that also symbolizes. And then in lotus and where it sit, lotus, and then there is the moon is on top of lotus. They see there's white, and that is the moon. And again, this symbolize, the lotus symbolize wisdom as earlier, and the moon symbolize compassion. Sometimes there is 3 cushions here, 2 cushions, especially like, and when 3 cushions, then there is lotus, sun disk, moon disk, and in that sense, then it symbolizes the sun symbolizes the wisdom, the moon symbolizes the compassion, and the lotus symbolizes the renunciations. When there is 3. So, and that what sitting on that, it symbolizes the being who is sitting on that has actualized that qualities in them. The wisdom and compassion, someone who has actualized that. So I think, and then sometime on the north of the Avalokiteshvara, sometimes you see Amitabha Buddha. And then that symbolizes, the Avalokiteshvara one. It belonged to the family of Lotus, Pema, Padma, or Lotus families. Also, it symbolizes, the devotion to the spiritual guru master. So Amitabha being the guru. So I think that is a little bit with that. So at least if we remember, or if we are aware of that, even if we don't remember each of them very clearly, but if we remember a little bit of what those symbolize, then it helps much. It's just not an ordinary form, but it is a internal realizations, and so each had meanings, greater meanings. It's not just kind of artistic, beautiful artistic, but there is much more greater meaning into that with each of them. Then in terms of the, okay, then I'm going to explain a little bit of the mantras itself. So Om Mani Padme Hum is 6 letters, 6 syllables. Sometimes it is known as the mantra of 6 syllables. And in at least 21 different sources, sutras, there is the benefit of reciting the 6 syllable Om Mani Padme mantras. In 21 different sources, you can see them. I don't think I'm going to read each of them. Yeah. And also when it comes to the, so, okay. Yeah, since we're going to do practice, maybe I think it will be good to explain a little bit before we do the practice, the meaning of that. Om. It starts with Om, and a lot of mantras start with Om. And Om is regarded very auspicious. And again, Om is regarded very auspicious and very precious and powerful among many different spiritual paths in many different Hinduisms. Hinduism has many school of thought. It's not just one. Is so among that, even in Jain, even in Burn, like the religious before Buddhism came in Tibet, who worship nature and like that. All of them regard this Om sound, Om syllable, very special, and all of them recite that Om. Sometimes they just recite Om. When they do meditations. And I do believe, certain sound has certain energies. Just like in elements, different elements has certain energies, healing energies, calming energies, sound, like even in music, you have different sound, different music. Some make you calming, sleeping, some make you very excited, wanting to kind of dance, wanting to move. And some, when you listen, you just feel like you want to go to sleep. So there is just like that. Definitely, sound has those energies, different energies of that. And so, mantras. That is why we try to keep the mantras to the original sound, not just translating and reciting that. When we come to mantra, we recite. Even though there is a translation of the meaning of those mantra word by word, and you have the understanding of that, but when you recite it, because it's not same when you recite that sound and reciting Tibetan versions of translation on that. Meaning is same, but sound is not same. There's power in the sound. Power of the sound. The power of the sound, the power of the syllable, the power of the intentions. I shared because I was fascinated myself, and I think I have also shared before, and some of you might heard, and some of you are aware. You might have heard about this crystal, by one of the Japanese, Dr. Imito, and where he takes the pictures of the water crystals. His experiment, there's, I think, a couple of books, and there's a lot of that. And he, in that his experiment, he used the sound, he used the syllables, the letter themselves, he used the thoughts. And through his experiment, he see how thought has effect in water, because his experiment is on the water. And syllables or the letter has effects on the water, and the prayer or thought of the prayer or the sound has. And it's, when you see his books and all the different images, it's incredible, Like he has, like like glass of water or bottled water, and with the letters or words like love, compassions. And he frees that water, and then he takes the pictures, and then what it comes. Some of the images are fascinating, beautiful, incredible, beautiful color, beautiful shapes, incredible. And some of them he put with cursing words, and freezes, and then the image, you look at it, some of them are very dark, some of them are no ugly, no color, no. And then he also did not only with the label of the words, but also he did with, asking. They go to one river, I think one of the most polluted river, I forgot the name of the river. And then, the pictures he took before the prayers and then after the prayer, the differences. So anyway, so that was kind of, I personally find kind of fascinating. If you read the Buddha's teachings and others, they explain it, the power of all this, but sometimes it's very hard for us to, when we cannot see it, it's hard to believe it. Do you get it? And so sometimes certain experiment of that kind of finding reinforce or help you to have some, to develop your, I guess, convictions more stronger. So we're talking about Om Mani Padme Hum. So starting with the Om, and even that Om, it has so many different meanings. Of course, there is the power of the sound itself by reciting vibration, energy. There's one part that, but also there is a meaning in that. So from even in Buddhist, there are many different level meanings according to different Sutta, Tantra, and even with Tantra, according to different school of thoughts. But the common to all, is that Om has three sounds, three letters, A, O, Ma, and then when these three put together, then it becomes Om sound, Om letter. But if you kind of take it down, it's a three letter, A, O, and Ma. In Sanskrit, those are three different letters or syllables. And according to many of the explanations in the teachings, and including by His Holiness, and also even in the Mani Kabum, like 7th centuries and earlier, it explained that the Om symbolized with three letters, enlightened body and speech and mind. So that is the kind of the spiritual goal, that our spiritual goal is to transform our unenlightened body and speech and mind into enlightened body, speech, and mind. That is, it symbolizes, it is that goal, to change, to transform untrained, undisciplined, unenlightened body, speech into enlightened body, speech, and mind. And Mani and Padme, Om, Mani, Padme, and then Hum, Mani and Padme symbolize the path that lead to that goal. And as I mentioned already, the Mani means Ratna or precious jewel, wish fulfilling jewels. That symbolize the compassion that I spoke before. And Peme is the lotus. Peme or Padma is the lotus. And that symbolizes wisdom, as again we spoke before. So through cultivating the Padma and the Ratna or within our mind, meaning by actualizing the compassion and wisdom ourselves, that's how we can transform our unenlightened body space into enlightened body space and mind. And the Hum also is another, lot of also mantras end with Hum. And also, just like the Om, Hum is also regarded as very powerful sound and very powerful also in many, not just in Buddhism, also in many others spiritual path as well. And also the Hum here symbolize the union of the compassion and the wisdom. Not only you need compassion and wisdom, but compassion and wisdom enhancing each other, complementing each other. Wisdom, through the wisdom, helping to improve the compassion more stronger and stronger. Through the compassion, helping the wisdom, and also going in hand to hand, complementing it, and supporting it, that with the union of the wisdom and compassion, then one is able to transform one's unenlightened body, speech, and mind in enlightened body, speech, and mind. So that is, without going so much details, that's a basic kind of meaning. And also, as I recite the sutra previously, is the mantra is also the mantra of the Avalokiteshvara's name. Because, when we recite that, we are praying or requesting to the Avalokiteshvara by recite, because it means, the one who holds the jewel and the lotus. The one who holds the jewel and the lotus. And that is Avalokiteshvara. Om Mani, as Mani, Padma. Mani is jewel and Padma is lotus. And Avalokiteshvara, many names. Sometimes it's called Pema Padma Vatsapani, Pema Pani, who hold the lotus, who hold the jewels. So there are many different names for the Avalokiteshvara, and because of, so here also when we say Om Mani Padme Hum, we make heartfelt request, prayers to the one who holds the lotus and the jewel, and that is referring to Avalokiteshvara. But we are not just talking about just ordinary, holding just ordinary jewel and ordinary lotus, but also we are talking about someone who have actualized highest level of that jewel and highest level of that lotus within their heart. And that is the highest level of wisdom and compassion, someone who has actualized and who is possessed by that, someone who has that, who holds that. So it could mean external, internal meaning, holding the jewel and lotus. Externally, implement in hand, holding lotus and the jewel. But internally, it's holding the compassion and the wisdom. That external represent that internal qualities. So that is okay. And before, because when I'm going to do maybe I can do the oral transmissions of that, the mantras, because reciting, then I think it will be better. And of course, the best will be if we are inclined towards this practice to get if you feel ready and you are inclined towards practice, whenever you get opportunity to have the empowerment, would be great. Wonderful. One of the first retreat I did after my graduation was retreat on Avalokiteshvara. I felt like, I need to improve my loving kindness, compassion. And if I need to improve my loving kindness, compassion through your practice, meditation, whatever, it will be great to rely on, to take that as part of practice with the Avalokiteshvara. And I requested my teachers to, even though probably I have got initiation when I was young, because I've been to so many when we were young, not knowing, His Holiness, other lamas. I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing, and because His Holiness give one of the among empowerment, one of the most He give is that one, Avalokiteshvara, very often, and so, but still I didn't know whether I got it. So I requested my teacher, and he gave, and then I did the retreat. And later, I received many times, from Lama Sopa Rinpoche, His Holiness, as well, and oral transmission, all of that. So in terms of oral transmission, that I do have the oral transmission. So, and I think that will be good to have that. So the practice become maybe having that unbroken oral transmission. There is some blessing in that, and there is some difference having those blessings kind of pass by, with enlightened beings, not myself, but like even from whom I got, is like Lama Sopa Rinpoche, His Holiness, Pandit Rinpoche, my teachers. So, those are very highly developed practitioners, So having that blessing from them, which will pass by their great gurus, teachers, I'm going back to the original. So you can repeat 3 times, okay? That will be the oral transmission. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, so oral transmission is that simple. This is so yeah, I wanted to do that. So when we come, then when we do practice, at least we have the oral transmissions. At least when we started to doing the visualization, what is the meaning of that. And when we recite the mantra, even you don't remember each of them clearly now, one by one, but at least you have the general kind of the main meaning of that. And I think it is important to do the practice with some understanding of that. Even though the sound itself has power and blessings and all of that, but when you do the understanding of meaning, there's much more greater power and greater blessings and greater understanding. So, okay, so we will have a Changjo Semjo Rinpoche, Maje Bana Gekyoche, Gyawa Nyamba Meba Ya, Konle Kondu Pewa Sho. Okay.